This is the group that they have quite a few letters, but they're not remembering those foundational letters as you introduce them. So what I would usually do with that group to start is just to go through the whole alphabet chart. And I usually use some fingers just to
Got some.
make it fun.
So this is my Madison. My trying to think of another one. Maybe even Addie B.
Bowden.
Bowden.
Ender.
Ender's maybe there.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Trevin is
Yep.
there.
So I usually use the pointer just to make sure they're actually kind of encouraging to actually look at the letter.
Right.
It's going to kind of depend on your group. Sometimes a couple of my groups, when I do this, we're just able to go through it together. Everybody says it poorly: A, apple, F, B, bat, butt. I've got a few groups that they're still kind of making some mistakes on sounds. They're saying G, game, J. They're saying Y, yellow, Y. So with those kids, I would model it first and then have them repeat it back to me. A, apple,
A, apple, A.
that kind of thing. Another thing that's really good to do, like with Madison, where she's got quite a few letters, but she's missing the sounds, I'll say, okay, everybody put your finger on that first letter. I'm going to say the first part, you just say the sound. A, apple, B, bat. So that's something if they're missing that sound piece. Something I like to do just real quick, like a game, we'll do something called showdown. After we've gone through the whole alphabet chart, I'll say put your elbow on the table, put your finger up. Don't move your finger until I say showdown. Okay, look with your eyes and find the letter that goes with J. Showdown.
Oh.
And then when I say showdown, you're trying to be the first person to touch it. And you can do it, you can say find the letter D, you can do find the sound, just different things. But it's a good quick review of some of those old foundations letters that you
Love it.
picked. All right.
And do you have?
This week's newsletter has this in it for you.
Perfect.
And there is a gift bag at the end that has some tools that you're going to see today, like these. So you'll get that.
Those I have, but I don't
Yeah, there's
have.
some more fun stuff in there.
Oh, cool.
All right, so then, like I said, this is the group that needs that double dose of foundations. So once we kind of did a review, this is this week's letters. Remember, we want to be able to do three things. We want to be able to say the name of the letter, we want to be able to say the sound, and we want to be able to write it. And so we practice the card a couple of times. Usually, the first couple of days, I practice writing with the board, but then I try to use some other things just to kind of keep their interest. So this is something they like a lot. It's a salt tray. So it's just a sandwich bag or a box from the dollar store, and with just some table salt in it. And so we'll say, I'll just go through. Let's practice B first, okay? Remember, it's a plain line letter, so we're not going to start at the top. We're going to start kind of in the middle. We're going to slide down and slide up. And then we'll do W. Practice that. And then I'll say, okay, but remember, when we're writing, we got to be able to write from the sound. So I'm going to say one of the sounds, and you're going to tell me what letter to write. What's that letter? B. Yep, and you guys will write. Something when we're practicing this that I like to use are mirrors for your kiddos that are having trouble with the sound. And I didn't set my timer. I put my phone there and I didn't set my timer. We've been going 4 minutes. Will you tell me we've been going 10?
Yes, it will.
Thank you. So like V, a lot of times they'll get confused with F. And so I'll say, look at my mouth when I make that V sound. And then I'll give them a mirror and I'll say, okay, look, there's your teeth on your lips. So they can see. So that's just something handy to have. So we'll do the writing. And then I try to do a lot of really quick rote practice of identifying those foundations letters that we've just worked on before we do kind of a review of all of them. So one thing that they love is called Ring Around the Rosie. So I'll put a whole bunch of different looking V's and W's. So they have to be a little bit of flexible. And I'll put them around the table, like that. Then I'll tell them to stand up. And we'll just kind of like and I'll put on some music. And I'll say, okay, when that music stops, you stop in front of the letter that you're on. So I'll turn the music on for 10 seconds, they'll walk around, I'll turn it off, and then I'll just point to a letter,
L,
letter, V. And then we'll keep going. So they're seeing those two foundations letters a lot. Sometimes I'll tell them to give me the letter. Sometimes I'll tell them to give me the sound. But then there's also, I'll usually try to pick a couple of old foundations letters that I know they still know. So that's just a real quick practice. Another good quick practice is slap. So I've got all the foundations letters we've worked on, and I put a whole bunch of V's in here. So every time you see a V, you have to hit the table and go, try to be the first person to hit the table. Oh, no, that's close. It does have that slanted line. And so we'll just keep going, and then I'll say, okay, now this time we're looking for that W. Remember, it's got more slanted lines. This time what are you gonna say when you hit the table?
What?
There you go. There you go. Well, I did put a lot of W's in here. Okay, we'll stop right there. But just anything you can do to give them a lot of quick practice, saying the name of that letter and saying that sound that you're working on this week. Then I usually try to do a little bit, just kind of reviewing all of them. Something that they love, and it's super low prep, is bacon. So you take the stack of letters that you've been working on, and you just randomly put some BAM cards in. And you go around the circle and you say, okay, this time we're going to play with letters. So you're going to say the name of the letter. But be careful, if you get a BAM card, I'm going to take all your cards and put them at the back of the paper.
E,
B.
V,
Sorry, BAM.
P,
F.
W,
V.
M,
N.
V,
G.
R,
Oh man, George got the bad one. And then once we've kind of played it for a little bit and gone through the stack, then I'll get them all back and I'll say, okay, I'm going to make it harder. This time you have to tell me the sound that goes with it.
F.
Oh, now you got it. So you kind of get the idea.
Yes.
Some other variations you can play, you can do ones that say snatch, and you get to steal the other person's card if you get the snatch card. And that kind of, that one's good when you have more than two people, because then they've got to be thinking who has the most cards. There's a little strategy there. Like, oh, he got the big snatch last time, I'm going to take his because he's got more. Another one is make cards that say crash on them, and you get to keep going until you get to a crash card, and then it's the other person's turn. So just quick little things to practice the name of the letter and the sound. And then how am I on time?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Woo! Okay, last little thing. I usually try to do some first sound with those two letters. So I'll put out some pictures. On your turn, you turn it over. You've got to say three things. You've got to say the name of the picture. You've got to say the sound at the beginning. Then you have to say what letter goes with the sound. So I got vase. That's V. So they're getting practice again, saying that name of the letter, saying the sound that goes with it when looking at the letter. So.
Awesome.
Awesome.